walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, wheels stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
I think you're muted. Yeah, I think your mic is muted. At least it says it is. Yeah, I can't hear you, but you can hear me.
This morning, sir.
I'm doing great. Doing great. Happy Friday to everybody out there.
So, Mo, let's start here. You know, we bang a lot on the Dallas Cowboys for how they're handling the Dak Prescott situation. And I think we've looked at this the entire way, and we've basically said, well, you know what? Maybe they just don't value Dak as much as we thought they should value Dak Prescott. Maybe they're looking at him as, 31 years old, even though we think he's got, 4 or 5 good years left in him. Maybe They're saying he's going on 32. We don't want to pay him $60 million. Whatever it is. We thought maybe it was a Dak Prescott situation. Well, now I disagree. Now I think it's just the Cowboys are idiots, because Jerry Jones was asked yesterday, is there any urgency, Jerry, when it comes to getting a deal done with CeeDee Lamb? And Jerry's response was, I don't have any urgency to get it done. Really? Your number one wide receiver, easily a top 4 wide receiver in the league. He is currently sitting out. He's not playing. He's not practicing. He has given you no indication, Mo, that he is going to do anything until he gets a new deal. He's making $17.99 million this year. He is on the final year of his contract. He just watched Tyreek Hill get the most guaranteed money of any wide receiver in the NFL, period. He just watched Justin Jefferson get a brand new deal. Jamar Chase is on the verge of getting a brand new deal. He's watching all these other guys get paid, and he has said, I'm holding out until I get paid. And there's no urgency in that situation. Now, maybe there's no urgency because things are going well. And because things are going well, maybe they're close to a deal. But that appears to not be the case, because Jerry Jones then went on to spew some sort of, not even exactly sure what he said or why he said it, but something about how things are looking okay and things are progressing well, or something to that effect, to which CeeDee Lamb then basically retweeted Jerry Jones's quote and said LOL to it, indicating that things are not really progressing and things are not really close to getting resolved. And then the reporter pushes Jerry Jones, Mo, to why? Why is there no urgency? Why is it not like at the forefront right now?
Correct.
And Jerry's response was, I don't know. I don't really have a reason. And then he goes, I forget where he says he was. He goes, but maybe it's because I was in so-and-so, some location, he said earlier in the week. Maybe that's why there's no urgency. What are we doing? You have a top 10 quarterback. Statistically, you have a top 10 quarterback. You have a quarterback who has helped guide you to 3 straight playoff appearances, double-digit wins the last 3 seasons. He is in the final year of his deal. He is set up to make at least $55 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years. He's probably going to get closer to $60 million. You could have locked him up a year and a half ago. You chose not to.
Right.
You've watched all these other quarterbacks get paid, and you still have chosen not to pay Dak Prescott. And you have come out literally months ago and you said, I know where we are. I know the situation. And we were all like, okay, fair enough. Maybe he knows something we don't know. After all, he is the owner of the team. Maybe they got something in the works. It appears they don't. So it appears, Dak Prescott is 3.5 weeks away, Mo, from entering the final season of his deal with no deal in place. Then you got CeeDee Lamb, who says, I'm holding out, about a week and a half ago. And we sat right here in the morning show and we said, good for him, because he sees the writing on the wall, or his people, Mo, see the writing on the wall. Got to pay Lamb, got to pay Dak, got to pay Micah.
Right.
Whoever makes the most noise first is probably going to get paid. And then at that point, if you're Lamb, figure it out. Whatever you got to do with Dak and Micah, figure it. I got mine. So you figure them out and we'll go from there. And Mo, we sat here and said, it's probably going to work. They're going to get CeeDee's deal done first. We'll see where we land with the other two. But now, Mo, it looks like maybe no one's getting paid before the season begins. By the way, CeeDee is also on his final year of his deal. Are we really not going to pay Lamb or Dak heading into the season? And they're both going to start this season on the last year of their deal, pissed off at the Dallas Cowboys because Dallas refused to pay them? Mo, we're literally 3.5 weeks away from that situation.
I think what's mind-blowing about this situation is that Jerry Jones and the rest of the Dallas Cowboys brain trust doesn't realize there's this thing called the domino effect. If CeeDee Lamb sits out, Chris, let's say he sits all the way out until week 1 or week 2, and that doesn't directly impact Dak Prescott, who isn't sitting out, but he will be playing without a number 1 receiver. After CeeDee Lamb, they don't have a number 1. They have I don't even know if they have a number 2. I think they have a couple of number 3s. And you don't have a great running game. The offensive line isn't what it was. Your offense is going to go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, which directly impacts what Micah Parsons does on the other side of the football, because when your defense is on the field too long, and I don't care how gifted your defense is, eventually they wear down and the offense on the other side starts making plays. How do you not have a deal done with a guy who's a franchise quarterback? I'm not saying he's an all-time great quarterback, but he is a top 10 quarterback. If the Falcons are smart enough to value, and they are being smart to value Kirk Cousins the way they have, and he's 36, I believe. Dak's 31. And we both agree, barring a major injury, he's got at least, because of the way the quarterbacks' careers are sustained now, he's got at least 5 or 6 years. Why would you hesitate? Unless you out and out know, well, plan B is going to be just as good. If Dak should leave or whatever, won't miss a beat. I don't believe that to be true. And as great a receiver as CeeDee Lamb is, I don't think you can just put any old body back there behind center and CeeDee Lamb's going to have a 1,500-yard season. It doesn't make sense to me. If you want to do Dak like that and make it an audition year per se, that's your mistake. But your franchise receiver, when you see the guys around him, who you have to admit, he's in the ballpark with some of them in terms of what he can do. Why isn't that deal done? What are you holding out on? Because I'm not in CeeDee Lamb's camp, Chris, but I truly believe, I think he's committed to not suiting up till he gets his money. Like I think Jerry Jones is like, he'll be here week 1. He'll show up. If he doesn't have a deal done, he won't be out there in the field week 1. You will be starting 0-1, maybe 0-2. Like this game of chicken, I think CeeDee Lamb has all the leverage.
That's what it is, Mo. It's a huge game of chicken, and you draw your line as an athlete, right? Dak says he wants a new deal. They know where Dak stands, but Dak's going to show up, and Dak's going to do what he's got to do, and Dak's going to handle business, and that's how Dak is choosing to handle it. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. That's just the path that he's taking. Lamb is taking a different path. Lamb has also said he wants a new deal. He's pointing to other wide receivers who are getting paid. He knows that he is a top 3 or 4 wide receiver in this league, and he wants to be paid accordingly. And in defense of CeeDee Lamb, it's not like he has 3 years left on his deal. It's not like he just signed a brand new deal a couple of seasons ago. Now, you can sit here and argue, well, play through his contract. He's only got a year to go. But Mo, Dallas Cowboys, case in point, you see how these athletes are treated. CD's saying, I don't want to take the Dak Prescott approach. I don't want to put my head down, do the work, and just trust the process that it's all going to pay out. I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I'm going to say I'm holding out. I'm going to say I'm not practicing until I get paid. We've seen other players do that, Mo, and guess what? They get paid. Again, I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm saying they're both taking different tacks to get to the bag. But Dallas seems to be taking the same tact with everyone, which is, we'll pay you when we feel like it. We'll discuss it later. We don't feel like discussing it right now, which also, Mo, maybe isn't wrong because they're under contract. Dallas could very much just be looking at this and saying, you're under contract. Come play. If you don't want to play, that's on you. But you signed a contract with us, and you're going to fulfill your contract. And when your contract is over, we'll talk money. That's not how 31 other teams in the NFL do it. But hey, if that's what's going to work in Dallas, I guess we'll see, Mo. Because at the end of the day, if Dallas gets deals done with Dak, CD, and Micah, who the hell are we to sit here and say Dallas handled it wrong if they end up bringing back all 3 with money they're comfortable with? Now, if they start losing players, we're going to sit here and say they handled it wrong. But I guess it remains to be seen.
I think you're right. I think Jerry Jones is of the mindset of the old school mindset. You guys are under contract. Come on and play. I don't care that it's the last year of your deal. You're still a Dallas Cowboy. You're under contract. My only problem with that is, like everybody else, even Jerry Jones has to adjust to the times. Any player going into their last season, 9 times out of 10, if you're one of the top players, the guys around you, they're getting new deals. So, of course, you're going to go, I'm part of that peer group. I want a new deal in my last day. I see what they're making. I'm underpaid. Pay me. And so I can see both sides of it, but I lean more towards the players because this is where the league is at, and he needs to catch up to that. This hardball thing, I just don't think you want that lingering. And the CeeDee Lamb thing to me is even more pressing because I really think he's dug in and he's not going to show up.
And I will say this. Let's say CD came to camp. Unhappy. He voices his concerns. Last year of his deal, he's not making anything compared to what other receivers are making. Let's say he gets hurt 2 weeks before the season starts. He's going to miss the first 6 games of the season. Now, what do those negotiations look like? Now, you know what I mean? Like and that's what the athletes are dealing with. The athletes are looking at it and saying, I don't want to go out there and risk hurting myself and risk putting myself in a spot where by doing my job, I get hurt. And now when we come to the table, the team is like, well, you had the injury this season, or you're just coming off the injury. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I did what you wanted me to do. I played. Like I didn't complain. I put my head down. Yeah, but with the injury now, we don't know. I mean, if it wasn't for the injury, yeah, we would have given you the 35 all day, easy money. Right. But now we're thinking more like 25, and that we've seen it, Mo. We have seen teams deal in bad faith like that, which is why the last 15 or 20 years it's become so pro player of, listen, if you value me enough, pay me now, and I'll go out there and do my thing. Right. And if you say no, then we're at an impasse, and we'll figure it out at some point. Ultimately, I think Dallas pays Lamb before the season begins. I don't think they go into week 1 with there being any question about whether or not CeeDee Lamb is suiting up. I don't think they pay Dak before the season begins.
I agree too. I think that Dak is trying to be a good company man, and maybe that'll eventually benefit him down the road. CeeDee Lamb is being a good CeeDee Lamb man. He's representing CeeDee Lamb, and he's taking a different tack. Like you said, he's saying like, yeah, no, I'm not good until I get paid, Dak. I don't know about what Dak's doing and Parsons is doing, but I'm not playing until I get the money that I think I'm valued at. And I have absolutely no problem with that. I just think that I thought if all things went right and everybody was under contract and everybody showed up, I still thought Dallas was going to be challenged to be as good as they were last year. And then you've got all these problems. And if you don't have CeeDee Lamb in camp, look, you're going to be a subpar offense, which means your defense is going to take a hit as well. I don't see Jerry Jones taking that stonewall stance. Like you said, eventually they get a deal done, I think, before the season starts.
Mo, Caleb Williams came out yesterday and he was talking about the NFL Top 100, where the 100 greatest players in the league are ranked heading into the season. And he took an issue with Matthew Stafford's ranking. He felt that Matthew Stafford should be ranked higher on the list. He felt that Matthew Stafford was snubbed. And then he said, I don't think you can name two players in the NFL right now that play the quarterback position better than Matthew Stafford. Now, Mo, I love me some Matthew Stafford, okay? We know one of them. We know that one of them is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is head and shoulders better than Matthew Stafford. So basically what Caleb Williams is saying, in his mind, it's Mahomes 1 and it's Stafford 2, and then it's the rest of the quarterbacks in the league. What do you say to that, Mo?
To be fair, I can remember when Stafford was on Detroit, and in my head, as I watched them play, I used to always think he's one of those guys that puts up big numbers, but his team is always getting thumped, right? Like, how good is he? And when I saw what he did with the Rams and what I saw since, I realized he was always very good, but the team around him wasn't that great. The defense wasn't good. I think Matthew Stafford is a terrific quarterback. I know I willingly admit I underestimated just how good a quarterback he is. He's not the second best quarterback in football. He's not. Now, if you want to tell me he got snubbed, I don't have no problem with that because I have him over a few guys. I have no problem saying that. But he's not. To me, it's Mahomes 1, a healthy Joe Burrow 2. And look, there's no question Matthew Stafford is a better thrower of the football, being able to read defense. He's a better pass. He's a better quarterback in that sense than Lamar Jackson. But we have to rank Lamar differently in terms of everything that Lamar brings to the table, which is why Lamar is ranked as high as he is, and deservedly so. So I'm not going to get into that kind of conversation. But if you want to tell me, well, Matthew Stafford should be at least somewhere 5, 6, or 7, I'll listen. I'll listen to that.
Yeah, I'll listen all day to Matthew Stafford being a top 10 quarterback in this league. I agree. Matthew Stafford is a top 10 quarterback in this league. He is not the number 2 quarterback in this league. I agree with you. That is Joe Burrow. I would even argue, and I hate to say this, God, 2 days in a row, Mo.
Oh, I know where you're going.
2 days in a row. I gotta wash my mouth out or something. If they're both at their 100% Superman God mode, Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. Now, I would take Matthew Stafford over Josh Allen in most situations because I think Josh Allen is a roller coaster ride. And I think if you're looking at their inconsistencies, Josh Allen is far more inconsistent than Matt. That felt good. That flushed us out and evens out a little bit.
That sounded more like Chris.
But if you're going God mode for both Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, I gotta go Josh Allen. Because if everything is working the way it's working for both guys, Allen's the better quarterback. Then we get into the Lamar conversation, and then we start getting into the Stafford conversation. So if you want to tell me Stafford was number 5, I'd listen to you. But
I would too.
You got Aaron Rodgers up there. You're going to put Dak Prescott into that conversation as well. I mean, you're talking once you get past Mahomes and Burrow, once you get past 1 and 2. I feel like the conversation then becomes if everyone's playing God mode, if everyone is at their absolute peak, because they all have flaws at that point. Once you're and even with Burrow, you can say the injuries are a flaw, but let's not knock him for that. He can't control that. So once you're past Mahomes and Burrow, I think you're talking about a bunch of really great quarterbacks that all have their flaws, and it's a personal preference as to whose flaws do you value more and whose flaws do you push under the rug more. And I think that's how you're going to start ranking like 3 through 6 at that point. So sure, if you want to say he's top 5, I'm okay with that, but he's not number 2.
And I like the standard that you use, because I think that's a smart way to approach this. If they're all playing at their peak, at their very, very best, yeah, I'm gonna take Josh Allen, because the best version of Josh Allen and the athleticism and the other elements that he brings, it's elite. If Aaron Rodgers is playing anywhere near Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay, he's better than Matthew Stafford. I'm not. Who's going to argue that? Not anybody with any common sense. So I squarely believe, though, even with that said, Matthew Stafford is a top 10 quarterback, at least. So if you don't have him in the top 10, there's an argument to be had, in my opinion.
We had some preseason football last night. We had a couple of games. We're going to start with the Patriots game. So the Patriots and the Panthers played last night. Listen, I love to bang on New England Patriot fans. I'm a Dolphin fan. I haven't been able to do it for a very, very, very long time. So I've fully capitalized on the Brady-less years in New England, because how does it feel to be mortal, Patriot fan? How does it feel to have the same football woes as every other fan base? You haven't felt them in 20 plus years, but you're feeling them right now. But Mo, sometimes Patriot fan just makes it too easy. And that's what I saw last night, as Patriot fan was gushing over Drake May. The same Drake May who I watched complete a dump off for a first down, overthrow a wide open receiver, and complete another dump off. I understand it was raining. I'm not going to sit here and tear apart his overthrow, but Mo, the guy threw 3 passes. So if a guy throws 3 passes and you want to gush about him, well, we got to break down the 3 passes he threw. He threw 2 passes for about a yard that went further because of the run after the catch, and he missed a wide open receiver. What are we gushing about? I don't know why. I don't know why he only played 1 drive. I'm sorry. Did Jacoby Brissett look that great? He overthrew 2 people. Did Jacoby look so great that we are like, we only got to play Drake for 1 drive? The quarterback we should be talking about is the 3rd string quarterback for the New England Patriots. He has a cannon. He threw a dart like 40-something yards across the field that turned into a touchdown. That's the guy I was looking at last night, Mo, where I was like, well, he played the best of the 3 quarterbacks. But yet here we are this morning, all this Drake May love for a guy that he didn't do anything last night except for look better in a number 10 jersey than Mac Jones, which, by the way, isn't that hard. So I don't know. What did I miss, Mo?
So the funny thing is, I ended up, because I, out of curiosity, you know how every fan base has them ultimate homers, right?
Right.
I watched the game simulcasting, watching a Patriots podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not going to name the podcast, but they were opposite of what a lot of people were saying. They were killing Drake May. They were like, "That's it, that's it."
Right.
And I don't get it. And they were absolutely in love with, I think his name is Milton. Is it Milton?
Yeah, Joe Milton.
They love, and I watched him. Look, the kid made a play. It was on a broken play where he scrambled, broke a couple of tackles, broke free, turned a corner, and turned what should have been a 15-yard loss to like a 15, maybe 20-yard gain. And the play you're talking about, that cannon across the field, which goes against what you're supposed to do. But when you're gifted like that, you can pull that kind of stuff off. And it's interesting because when we had the NFL Genius on here a couple of days ago, who did he bring up? He said, Milton. You guys need to be watching Joe Milton. And Joe Milton, these guys were they were all aboard on the Joe Milton train. They were already saying, like, I could see Joe Milton starting. Like, they weren't even speaking about May. They were not into him. They were like, they babied him. We don't know what he can do because he didn't do anything.
Correct. And again, I understand May he's not going to be your week 1 starter. I think we can all agree Jacoby Brissett is going to start week 1, and he should.
Oh, yeah.
You have no offensive line. You need to protect your future investment in Drake May. It makes sense. He probably isn't ready. Reports coming from training camp also say he's not ready yet. He has work to do, which is fine. He's a rookie quarterback. I'm good with all that. but why isn't he playing more in preseason? Give him 2 or 3 drives. Maybe it was the rain. Maybe they didn't want him out there running around in less than ideal field conditions. Maybe he just wasn't ready. We don't know. Maybe they just are like, we're going to get him in there for one series. We're looking for him to do 2 or 3 things. If that's the case, I think we should be a lot more concerned right now if he just wasn't ready for more than that. But maybe it was the weather. Maybe he's nursing something that we don't know about, and he's not on the report, but they don't want to. I don't know. It could be a plethora of things, Mo. But if you are a Patriot fan this morning, you walked away from that preseason game last night feeling good about Drake May. I just need you to do me a favor. Just take off the Patriot colored glasses, wash them off, put them to the side, and let's go into the next preseason game with nothing covering our eyes, because the only quarterback you should be talking about this morning, if you're a Patriot fan, is Milton, because he's the one that actually looked good last night. Now, all things I just said, you should feel a lot better if you're a Patriot fan than you should feel if you're a Carolina Panther fan. Mo, the Carolina Panthers were the worst. I said the worst. Want to hear it one more time? They were the worst team in the NFL last season. They had the worst offense in the NFL last season. So what do you think should happen during 3 preseason games this season? I don't know. Maybe they should figure out their offense. By the way, new head coach, new offensive system. We've heard all about it. It's a system to be a system. It's not a system for their quarterback. I was excited, Mo. I wanted to see the system. And then they said, you know what? Let's make 37 of our players inactive. We don't need to play starters in this game. We only had the worst season in the league, or the worst offense in the league last season. We only have him mocked and ridiculed all of the offseason about what our offensive system is going to look like. Let's not play anyone. And that's what they did. They didn't play anyone. And the rookie quarterback, I don't even know his name, that they did play, looked absolutely awful last night. He looked like an undrafted rookie quarterback that they just signed this week that had no real idea of what they were doing offensively, who was just back there trying to make the best of the situation. But Mo, then we have this. 3 days ago, the head coach for the Carolina Panthers said this to Panthers Wire about his offense. He said, excuse me, and I quote, "Really, it's just functioning. It's the pre-snap mechanics of us getting up to the line, getting us into the right place in the run game, in the pass game. It's about throwing to that first open guy within the time that we want. And then when the pocket breaks apart, it's about extending and making those extra plays. Bryce Young is showing those things, but I still think just in terms of getting our group polished, we're not there yet. We still have strides to make as an offense as a whole. I want for all of our groups, particularly our first group, to be able to just function so it looks like a really fine-tuned machine." Mo, your goal with 3.5 weeks to go before the season begins is your ones to just function? Your goal is to bring out the ones and make it look like an NFL offense? He literally said, we just want people getting in the right place, in the run game, in the pass game, throwing to the first open. This is an NFL offense, Mo. That's where we are 3 weeks before the season begins. You just want it to look good on film, that it looks like we're running an NFL offense? What are we doing?
So that might explain why the 37 players didn't play. They're not ready.
They're not ready.
That offense isn't ready. Like, they must not look even good in practice. When you don't look even good in practice where you can get the fans amped up, why are you going to put that product out on the field even in a preseason game? They're clearly not ready. This coaching staff, they're playing catch up. And remember, he's a second-year quarterback. Bryce Young is a second-year quarterback, right? Like, yeah. What are we doing? Like, and if you saw his season, how he looked like a deer in the headlights, and it's not all on him because that offensive line is like butter. He needs to be playing as much as possible. He really does. He needs to be out there. Their starters need to be out there. They need to have some kind of continuity, some kind of timing. And again, let's point out, it's a new system. You're not going to get that down in practice and then just go out in the regular season and that's going to click. you need to get that down with timing, and you need to get that in game situations like preseason. I don't understand it, but I do understand this. They've got the worst owner in football, and I'm not sure that leadership group as a whole isn't the worst leadership group in football. It's disappointing, and I just the idea that you say stuff like we just want the offense to function, like basic stuff, receivers to run route, like that almost sounds like a high school football coach. That's insanity. They don't set a high bar, do they? They don't set a high bar.
They don't. Just line up where you're supposed to line up,
Right.
Throw the ball where you're supposed to throw it, and we'll go from there, guys. It's wild in Carolina. There was another game last night. It was the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants. Hendon Hooker got his first action as a Detroit Lion. He had the injury last season, so he didn't see the field very much at all. And he looked good, Mo. He looked good as a backup quarterback. He is mobile. He made a couple of throws last night for the Lions. Obviously, not what he thought it was going to be when he was drafted by the Lions, as he probably thought he was on his way to starting in a year or two. Not the case with Jared Goff's new deal, most likely. But he looked good. He looked good. He was athletic. He was mobile. He was accurate. I think it was a good first appearance for he's not a rookie anymore, but essentially he is.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, though. Because Goff is playing as well as he has, because Goff just got the new deal, is Hooker, how can I say this? Is he on pace to be kind of like Jordan Love, where he's going to sit for 3 or 4 years? Or is it one of those things where because everybody starved for a quarterback, maybe he's valued and they might move him to get a haul for him? Is that a potential?
I don't know if they're going to get a haul for him, but I think it's one of those situations where it comes down to, how much do you like him? Obviously, you liked him enough to draft him.
Yeah.
But you drafted him thinking that, and what are those situations? Who was on the board? How much did you really like him? Was he just the best quarterback available and you had to go with one because you didn't think Goff was going to be your long-term solution? Like, there's so much that goes into that pick. So based on that, you then look at this and you say, well, obviously we need to develop him. We want to see what he is. And if they think he's the guy, sure, sit him for a couple years, because Goff, maybe he plays 3 more years and we'll see, right? If he starts to fall back down the wayside, not this season, but next season, you start having those conversations. Or if someone comes along who values Hooker more than you do, and they're going to give you something you can't refuse, I say move him. But this is one of those situations. If you're the Lions, the window is open now. The window is open now. So whatever you can do to help yourself within that window, if that means you trade Hendon Hooker for a piece, you trade Hendon Hooker for a piece. I just don't know if anyone's going to be knocking their doors down today for it. But Mo, things in the NFL change very quickly. Hendon Hooker has a couple more good preseason games. Someone gets into a weird quarterback situation. You never know who might come calling.
And let's be clear, there's already a few weird quarterback situations in the NFL where they have more questions than answers, which is why I put that out there. But yeah, I totally get it.
On the New York Giants side of the football, I don't got much to talk about. I will say this: their running backs played well. Granted, they weren't playing against defensive starters, but they got Singletary's over there. They got a couple of rookie quarterbacks over there. The rookie quarterbacks, I think, combined for almost 100 yards, over 7.5 or 8 yards a carry. That's a positive. I don't know what kind of running game the Giants are going to have this season. I don't think they're going to have much, because they're going to put a bunch of people in the box and make Daniel Jones throw the football.
Right.
But hey, if you want to take a positive from a New York Giants preseason football game, I want to look at the running backs. I thought the backs played well, and that's about it for the Giants, Mo.
And I know they went out and they added more depth on their defense. Look, again, because we're not going to get all the starters, you don't know what they're really going to look like probably until week 1. But like you said, take a positive. You've got a couple of guys in the backfield that can potentially make plays. On the downside, when you play the New York Giants, you're probably going to have 8 men in the box, right? Like you're going to say, can Daniel Jones pick us apart from the pocket? More than likely not.
No.
Right.
Daniel Jones is not picking anybody apart from the pocket. All right, Mo, let's pivot to the NBA here. The NBA has announced their Christmas Day lineup. Spurs and Knicks, Timberwolves and Mavericks, Sixers and Celtics, Lakers and Warriors, Nuggets and Suns. Of those 5 matchups, which one stands out the most to you, Mo?
There's 2. The Lakers and Warriors stand out because, one, the Lakers and Warriors aren't really like top tier teams. I mean, but I get it, right? They have top tier players. You're talking Steph, you're talking LeBron. I get it, but I just thought that's an odd one because I could think of a bigger, better teams, I guess, that could be on Christmas, but they're looking for names, right? And you want to draw
one of them
in.
could have a losing record on Christmas Day.
That's
like, you wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors came in with a losing record or the Lakers came in a game under 5. Like, you wouldn't be shocked.
Right. Or yeah, definitely with the Warriors and potentially with the Lakers. I agree 100%. And then I thought I think it's the Knicks versus the Spurs.
Yep.
Look, I think the Spurs will be improved from last season. They might win 30-35, maybe. But clearly that was scheduled simply because of Wemby, not because of Spurs. You know what I mean? And obviously the Knicks, I get why you have them, the excitement of what they did last year, Brunson and everything that they've added. So I again, they've got a couple of matchups in there that are going to be good matchups, and then they've got a couple of matchups in there that is just name recognition, and I get it.
And when you talk about the Lakers Warrior matchup, I mean, yesterday was a good day to drop it because what 2 NBA players are being discussed the most right now? LeBron James and Steph Curry, because of what Team USA did against Serbia. For 3 quarters, Team USA could not get it going in that game, Mo. I think they were down by 11 or 11 and a half. They were down by 13 going into the 4th quarter. And then LeBron and Steph took over. And in fairness to Steph, they were only down by 13 going into the 4th quarter because of Steph Curry. Because if Steph Curry wasn't playing the way he was playing through the first 3 quarters, they easily could have been down by 20 points going into that 4th quarter, because he was keeping them at least, I guess you want to call it, within striking distance through those first 3 quarters. But then LeBron and Steph take over. KD had a couple of big baskets there in the 4th quarter after being pretty much silent through the first 3 quarters. And Team USA pushes past Serbia. They are going to the gold medal game against France. Let's start with this, Mo. No Halliburton, no Tatum.
Yeah. You know what? We talked about that last night on N1. And again, Steve Kerr is one of my favorite coaches. His rotations have been interesting and curious. But that game in particular yesterday, I would have thought you would have saw both those guys, just for the fact that they got up to such a horrendous start that you want to switch up the pace. And a guy like Tatum, he's not hamstrung. He could play the 3, the 4. He could play the 2 if you need to, and he's got length, and he's a solid defender. Halliburton can pick up the pace. I just thought you might want to kick it in the high gear. And even then, when they were down, neither one of them got any burn, and I did not understand that at all. Like, Steve, one of the strengths of the team is the depth, buddy. Like, the starters weren't playing well. Look, LeBron was terrific when it mattered down the stretch, but he wasn't good in the first half. And he was very bad on defense because for some reason he kept gambling and trying to go for steals, and Joker was literally picking them apart, and Serbia wasn't missing. Like, every open shot, bucket. I don't know how Jason Tatum doesn't get any burn. You could have told me he only played 7 or 8 minutes. Same for Halliburton, unless there's some injuries that I don't know about. And I understand, because I've heard the argument, Mo, you're talking about the greatest players in the league, and they're all great, so there's going to be different rotations. I understand that. But there shouldn't be any kind of rotations where those 2 guys get no burn. DMPs? I'm just saying, I don't understand that. So like I said, I'm a fan of Steve Kerr. But is it a personal thing with him and Tatum? Because this is the second DMP for Tatum.
Both against Serbia, right?
Right. But is it, I don't think he plays well against the Serbs. Like, well, in the first half, nobody was playing great except for Steph. You could have put Tatum in. Like, Tatum could have said, like, we could have been down by 11 with me in there. Like, let me play. I didn't understand that. I like I said, he's made some curious rotational moves. But the idea that neither one of them got zero burn, I don't understand that.
Now, Mo, the other side of that coin is look at Steve Kerr. Just trusting his gut, doesn't care about the name on the back of the jersey. He's going to coach the way that he wants to coach, and hopefully it works out in the end, and he's hopefully going to be accountable if it doesn't work out. But he's not going to sit here and go the Pop Warner route of everyone gets playing time. He's going to do what he's going to do what he thinks is best. It's his team that he's coaching, and we'll see where the chips fall. And that's kind of the approach he's taken in the Olympics. Twice now, we've seen Tatum not play. We've seen Embiid not play a whole game. He has rode the players that he has decided that he wants to ride. And you can say what you want about Steph being one of those players. It is what it is. When you know the guy, you know the guy. And I think Steph is one of the best players all time in the NBA. So if you're gonna ride Steph and LeBron, you're not picking two bad horses to ride. But Mo, what do you say to those who come at you from the other angle of he trusted his gut? If it didn't work out, hopefully he owns that. But there they are. They're in the gold medal round, and he doesn't seem to care if he pisses people off along the way.
And I'm a big picture guy. And again, I'm a Steve Kerr fan. I'm curious about the choices of not playing Tatum at all. Again, they've beaten down some teams, but this was a particular matchup where I get it. He didn't play against them the first time, but they were so bad. I was just talking about shaking the offense up or getting some kind of energy in there. And to your point, if somebody wants to push back, yeah, look, the bottom line is Steve Kerr was tasked with winning the gold medal. That's his task. And if and when they do that, when they match up with France, mission accomplished, right? If Team USA comes back with the gold, nobody's going to be like, yeah, they won the gold, but Tatum didn't get to play that much. Nobody's going to care. Like, even Jason Tatum's going to be like, I'm a gold medalist, right? I'm part of Team. So if we're going bottom line, big picture, I'm there. I'm not going to dispute that. The only way you can ultimately question Steve Kerr if for some reason Team USA gets upset by France. Then you can have that conversation. But if the mission is to win the gold, and he's set out, like you said, Chris, this is the way I'm going to coach. Feelings are going to get hurt. I'm going to look at the matchups and go, you just don't match up well with them. Like I said, I'm only curious. He's one of my favorite coaches. They win the gold. There's no conversation to be had.
Let's kind of take a look at this game. France and Team USA. Obviously, Team USA is the favorite going in. Mo, what would France have to do realistically to be competitive in this game and to have it be, a 2 or 3 score possession late in the fourth quarter?
They have to control the paint. I think if they can control the paint, they can stay attached to Team USA. And I know the other game when they beat Canada, Gobert didn't play. They decided to match Canada's speed and have Wemby play in the middle. And he didn't have a big scoring game, but he did impact the game defensively. But against Team USA, who's a bigger team, I think they're a much more physical team. They have to control the paint. So I don't know if you stagger Gobert and Wemby's minutes or you put them both in. And I think you will see them both at times because I think Anthony Davis is a little too strong, too physical for Wemby. But Gobert can match up with him to a degree. Like it'll be interesting. If France is going to stay attached, they have to control the paint, and offensively, they have to be able to make open shots. They have to be able to make open shots because if they're not hitting from the perimeter, Team USA is going to get out and run, and this game will be over early.
Do you think we see Tatum on the floor early for the finals?
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I don't know. I know we just had that conversation, but like I said, Kerr trusts his gut. You pointed that out. I mean, and I agree. Maybe Tatum plays, but I don't think he's going to start. So he has a core group that he's bought into, and that core group is AD, it's LeBron, it's Steph, it's KD. I think it's Booker. Like that seems to be, and then it's a combination of either Holiday or White. Those seem to be his guys on this particular team. So we'll see how it falls out. Look, I hope Jason Tatum gets in, plays some meaningful minutes. But if he doesn't and they win the gold, again, like I said, he's a gold medalist and he represented his country well. Like, I guess Celtics fans could be upset, but there's another way to look at this, Celtics fans. You're the defending NBA champions. He's your best player. The fact that he didn't play that much means he's more well rested. That kind of benefits you going forward. Look at it that way.
Well, at the end of the day, if you're Jason Tatum and you get back from the airport, you're flying back home from Paris, you get back to your house, you go into the trophy room, and right next to the championship ring, you hang up the gold medal. Awesome. I feel like you feel good about yourself. I feel like you had a pretty good few months when you're collecting NBA title rings and Olympic gold medals literally months apart from each other. If you're Jason Tatum, I hope he has the perspective, regardless of the minutes that he plays in this final, to sit there and be like, man, that's crazy. Because it's
been a hell of a month. It's been a hell of a year. I mean,
right?
I just thought.
And he got paid. And he got the bag.
I just got $300 million, an NBA title, and an Olympic gold medal. Life's not bad, Jason Tatum. It's not bad at all.
It's not bad. I can guarantee you not many people have had a better 3-month stretch in their athletic careers than you just did, if that is the case, and you top it all off with a gold medal. All right, Mo, that's going to take us to a close on a Friday. Bring us to the end.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We appreciate your support. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
I don't care who your team is. Make sure you're watching some preseason football tonight and this weekend. Get out there, see what's happening. Start scouting for your fantasy football drafts. If you're in fantasy football, that's another good thing the preseason is for. When we come back on Monday, we're going to break down all the NFL stuff that took place over the weekend. We're going to break down what took place in the gold medal game overseas in the Olympics. All of that and more. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show, powered by Wire